Hey Jack,
Greetings.
how are you?
Amazingly, not dead yet.
I feel the same way.
Yes, Marc Antoine should be here momentarily.
Cool. Were y'all in another meeting together? I know y'all overlap a lot.
The gab session with a fellow that returned to Topic Quest, the
Oh,
original co-founder, Martin Radley.
oh
He,
wow.
he went away for 3 years to teach in India and then came back and then he's retired and looking for something, so he thought he'd stick his toe back into the mud pit that he helped create. So
Oh, that's really cool.
I'm hoping that we can have an MVP online early next year.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Howdy, sir.
And hi there, how are you?
Good, good.
It's been Zoom City for a while.
Yeah, I was just asking Jack if you and he were on another meeting. He was telling me about it because I know y'all are often overlapping.
Correct.
So Bentley, let me take just a moment and tell you what my vision for epistemic communities is. They're destination resorts for people who really want to solve problems, want to get into problems, and want to learn how to solve problems, and want to learn how to collaborate, want to learn how to be creative. Um, and I call them K hubs. And our K hub is one which has a game based element in it. But as a destination resort, it can have many elements in it. It could have polis, it could have God knows what. Maybe some software that you've invented could fit in it. That's the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
So
Yep.
let's maybe start. Should we wait a bit more? I think we should start with a round of where we're at.
Yeah, sure. I guess I could start. Um, I've been making progress on Reason Tracker. Uh, just a quick. So I'm integrating a animated timeline so you can have a timeline through it and it can show and this is for video creation. You can pause and you can scrub the timeline and see what it would look like on any part of the video, which is what it's going to be. So that's where I'm at. I might hire another developer. Um, so we'll see how if I can justify spending the money just because I don't have time to work on it much more. In my researcher, we have two topics, permanent daylight savings in the US and ranked choice voting. Probably going to start with permanent daylight savings because it's a smaller um, debate. So that's where I'm at.
Let me show the diagram that I've shown earlier that says what I just said. Give me a second. Uh, I'll leave it at let's see. Um, you can see this is a logical diagram. It says nothing about connectivity other than I use the client server metaphor to show that these things are wired together. Now they can be on the D web, they could be whatever. Doesn't matter. That's it's really stupid to think today we're going to design the thing. But there's a federation, there's a plurality of digital public libraries, and that's the Federation server, where each of the K hubs, they're epistemic communities of any kind who can submit to the Federation and who can play within the Federation's guidelines. That's all. That's the only point. For example, we would definitely not federate with Facebook, for example, or Twitter. That's just out of the question because this whole thing is about trust. Trusted information resources and trust that when I go online and I make a comment, nobody's going to slam me for it. They can challenge me, but they can't slam me for it. And so some of the K-hubs will have, a plurality of guilds playing various kinds of MMO games. So that's where my head is at.
And as y'all, it sounds like topic quests in general. Am I right that that's what you're going to be
Yeah,
doing
that
some of this under, as an example?
well, in its Topic Quest plus Marc Antoine's Conversants, it's a growing tribe. There's no way I alone or Topic Quest alone or whatever is going to be the center of this. I'm not a Zuckerberg. This is about us, not me.
Yeah,
And so I'm trying to grow the network of people who want to play in this space and will co-develop it. I put up a logical diagram just to show what I'm thinking.
cool.
Um, okay. I was involved for the past month in startup incubator, and they asked me, what's your market? What pain point are you solving? What ah? I'm trying to solve the social problem, and
All
my
the
market,
all the
yeah,
social
yeah,
problems.
and my market is everybody, but that doesn't fly, of course, in
Yeah, they
that
don't
way.
like
That
hearing that, do they?
they don't like hearing that at all. So I try to give something a bit more focused, and that's something I've been spending time on, and I'm realizing the first thing I'm trying to do. Uh, it's still more solution in terms of in search of a problem, but I'm working as a first brick at something that will take natural language and try to fit it to a schema because I keep thinking that large scale collective intelligence will require uh, more formal description of issues and ideas so that we can compare and compose them better. That I've said that many times. So right now I'm looking at helping people, not just the AI doing it, but the AI guiding someone and going through the loop of, well, does it fit the schema? Is this the right schema? Did the schema leave out something? Do we need to improve the schema, right? Of trying to help people and using that for schemas such as argumentation schemas, right? The argumentation frames I keep bringing up all the time.
Or what
Hey,
about the
Tim.
primary key? Hi. Happy holidays, everybody. The primary
Wow.
key on claims. That's what my holy grail.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, how much of what I said did you hear?
I heard everything you said. Yes.
Oh, good, 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 good. Uh, I thought you just arrived. I got confused.
I just turned on my camera. It was off before.
Acha, acha, acha. So yeah, so that's the puzzle I'm working on right now. The getting people out of on schema. Something that's really important recently, and I made a presentation on this at Future of Text, is I keep talking about recursive hypergraphs. I still think it's the quote unquote right answer, but the tooling is so complicated on this that right now I'm working on nested frames as a projection of recursive hypergraphs. A simpler one that allows, like I can use a subframe as the target of conversation, and then that's easier to handle computationally. And it's in most cases equivalent, enough cases equivalent. So that's a simplification of my hard model. In terms of unique keys, I still think we won't have a stable unique key because concepts change in time, but a key that brings you to the thread of evolution of a concept, yes, I think this is still very much on the agenda for me. So slow progress, but because I was trying to express what I was doing, I found possible markets of application of this brick, mostly for process documentation, as a, telling a story to the VCs, but the main goal is the same, and plus trying to get money out of it, given my current circumstances as not being employed anywhere. Who's next? Tim or Carl?
I can go real quick. I added a backend to Sophistry, just kind of like Tim, you haven't been around for a while, but I just kind of out of the blue wanted to like look at the problem from a different perspective. So Sophistry is a Chrome extension for argument mapping that kind of has the same data model as Howju before that I had before. But it's just focusing on more like the visual argument mapping, and it has pretty good, I guess, although I'd be curious if anyone's looked into it and tried it, the pretty good highlighting integration. So like you have I'm speaking and I should probably be showing. Sorry, I don't use Zoom frequently. Where's presenting? Share.
Green share button at the bottom and then select which page you want.
So for example, this is the same over here on the right is the same. This is the sidebar view. This is the same ranked choice article that Bentley had been looking at. And I created this a while ago and got it to a state where it had enough data to work with. I haven't revisited it. I was going to revisit a different, or I was going to look at a different article as far as like kind of my next self experimentation. But the idea here, as far as the integrations goes, you bring up a view and it's showing you, this is the appearance thing again, where I say, this statement or this proposition, this claim appears somewhere. And where does it appear in this article? It's not always great at going to the thing, to the highlight when you first open the page, especially like this one has like a hidden content, and I haven't added anything around like, oh, make sure you click here before you try to navigate. That's kind of a more complicated use case. But you can see when you click here, it goes and it highlights this text where it's showing you this information appears. The reverse also works. So if you click here, it highlights in the view. And I think if you're like off screen, should take you there. Okay, it's supposed to. I don't know why should scroll you over there. It might have been something that broke. And yeah, so hey, Marc Antoine, does this interest you at all? Because you'd mentioned interest in this highlighting library, and this is published. The highlighting part is published on NPM as Tapestry Highlights.
Well, I'm totally interested in the highlighting library. Yes,
definitely be interested in any feedback or thoughts. Like, is there something that's confusing? It's not ergonomic. Is the API not good or bad, or is good?
I'll definitely have a look.
Yeah. And then as far as the backend I was mentioning, so it's possible to sync if you log in, if you go to options, and it just uses like basic like Chrome, Google authentications, like basically whatever you're logged into Chrome as. If you're signed in, then you can sync. And when you sync a map, it'll take it over to, by default, it's sophistry.app. But if you're actually running this locally, you can point it local if you wanted to push to some local server. And so now this is accessible on the web. So now there's, this, because I wanted to just see what it was like to do basic sharing. And I want to be able to show people who maybe hadn't installed the extension. And right now it's like super, super basic. This doesn't tell you who created it. It doesn't tell you a lot of details, but it's just a list of what's in here. And then the other thing I added recently is collapsing. I forgot to release it to the web app. I'm going to do that next, but you can look over here. This node has this 4 out of 4, which means 4 direct children, 4 total descendants are collapsed. And so if you click there, they uncollapse and you can collapse them again. Anyway, so that was sort of the latest feature I added. As far as like what I'm going to look at next, I'm so hard. I think we all know bouncing back and forth between sort of like thinker mode and like doer mode. I'm trying to like come out of, the doer mode and remind myself, okay, what was I trying to do and where was I trying to go? My next thing was I was going to look at an article, a really interesting article, I thought, around. So the Atlantic had an article recently around the food deserts in the United States. I only have a single appearance in here because I didn't get very far. Oh, there it goes. So anyway, I was going to start mapping this to kind of remind myself, okay, where is this painful? Where is this good? How am I speeding up? Like if I were to create this map and share it with someone, like, say share it through SofaStreet app, am I speeding up their day? Am I like doing something useful for them or not? Yeah, so that's kind of where I was going to go next. Yeah. So that's my sharing.
Awesome. Looks good.
Very nice. Tim, we were doing the rounds.
Yeah, I don't have much to update as usual. I just work and life takes all my time. As usual, post election, I've got I had to get stuff out. So I started writing again. My stupid dog thinks she deserves a snack, but she doesn't. Yeah, so I started trying to write smaller things, every time something crossed my mind, but I haven't had much time to do it. I really wanted to start documenting, what I call the vectors of epistemic attack as a way to document the vulnerabilities in our epistemic security, as you might say. It's documenting all the ways that in current structures it's easy to spread misinformation, and the ways that the canonical debate could help with that, right? So I'm going to start breaking that down when I've got time. I've got just a handful of academic articles to work from right now, so I'm going to also try to start spending some time reading some more. My main thing, like as Carl, you pointed out, I spent most of the first years in canonical debate lab on the doing
The white paper.
side, the buildings, well, the white paper, then I wrote the white paper, but I came from the building side, and I just got tired and retired to the thinking side and thinking more slowly. But the main thing that always gets me is, why is the canonical debate or similar concepts just not a common phrase a common need that everybody senses, right? Why is that? Why doesn't that take off? And why don't people ask that question of why don't we have something like this? Why do we have all the information out there and you can't just find it all in one place, right? Debiased and all that. I don't know why
Yeah, I
that
think
message doesn't take off, but go ahead.
I think a lot of people don't perceive the difference between CDL and Wikipedia, and they think it's already there for that reason.
Well, maybe. Not the people I talk to don't. I've never seen anybody actually reflect that to me. I
Uh,
mean, that might be what some people say, but I think and this is actually one of the projects I might do if I can dedicate myself to it, is start scheduling people um, to do
Good idea.
one-on-one conversations. I want to do one-on-one conversations of people who have never heard of the canonical debate before, don't know what we're talking about, and see the reaction and get the responses to improve the messaging, but also build up FAQs of, what they didn't
But
understand about it or why they think it wouldn't work, that sort of thing.
by the way, you're aware that there is I did tell you about Captain Fact, right? It might be the closest thing we have right now.
What is it?
Captain Fact. I just put it
No.
in the Slack.
Okay. I'm not
It's collaborative fact checking. It's crowdsourced fact checking.
okay.
So it's something that exists. Uh,
And that's another line is like, okay, why do we need this? We already have Captain Fact. Or why didn't Captain Fact? Why didn't hasn't that succeeded? That sort of thing. Those would go in our
Those
FAQs.
are important
Uh,
questions. I mean, we're
yeah,
all here trying to build this one way or another, right?
right. And we come here through we kind of glom together because we had the same idea, more or less, within whatever you want to consider the same idea.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yes, with yeah, because we found out we have different approaches to many things, but
yeah.
still, we have
But
the same
the
goal.
Yeah. So I want to there's a lot I want to do. I want to document these things in smaller pieces so they don't take so long to write and they're easily referenceable. Um, I just had my second coffee of the afternoon and it's got to hit first. The um but so I want to have conversations with people and do that sort of thing. But like I also just want to figure out how to spread the message more. Um there's different groups. I'm in discords and things and I just don't have time for social media. I don't have time for all that. And it's like I want to build up a social media presence. I want to build up my presence in these different groups, skeptical groups or information groups or fact groups or whatever. I just don't have time. But I'm trying to just at least tread water in being a recognized person in those groups so that when I'm ready to do a project of, hey, I'm open to interviews about this thing we're doing, who wants to sign up for a half hour or whatever, people will know me and trust me more. Um, last two side notes, I guess. One is that I'm on Blue Sky now, as a lot of people have migrated to Blue Sky. Um, for whatever
Good.
that's worth, I don't use it. Just like I didn't use Twitter or whatever, it's like I'm there. But I did find a list of epistemic philosophers as a starter kit for Blue Sky. So I went and followed everybody in there, and I'm starting to see interesting articles pop up. Some of them followed me back. Um, so, if there's some sort of interesting community there,
Are you
maybe I'll
following
see.
Daniel Daniel Williams at all?
I
Does that
don't
name
know.
ring a
I don't
bell?
even know if he might. No, like I don't even know the names because most of them haven't posted in a while. It's just they're on this list. What's his name? Daniel
Williams. It's his
Williams.
Substack is Conspicuous Cognition.
Can you post a link to that list, Tim?
Yeah, I'd
Yeah, I
like to
was
look
going to
at
say,
the list.
I'll post
Or
it
is it
in.
on
I'll
the
post it in the Discord when I.
there's
Okay.
a few Daniel Williams, D Ben JW, Daniel Dash Williams. There's like 10 Daniel Williams in Blue Sky.
What I did was actually I went to Blue Sky. What are they called? They have a directory starter packs. Blue Sky starter packs. Um, here's the all link. Where are you? Where's the chat here? I also do not use much Zoom anymore. There's the Blue Sky starter packs, and in there I typed in epistemology.
I see applied
And
epistemology is a starter pack.
yeah, I actually followed the applied epistemology group because I figured too philosophical wouldn't be my bag yet. So I went
Oh,
for
I see
applied
him as
epistemology.
oh wait, never mind. Sorry.
Oh God, there's a lot of people in that list.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see where's the Zoom? Where's the chat? There it is. There's the
Here's the
starter pack.
applied. Oh, sorry, we got it at the same time.
Um, there you go. So that looks to be promising. I'll start reading up. I already learned a new term today from there, which is what epistemic injustice. Maybe when I've read up on that a little bit more, I can write an article on that. But it comes down to they break that down into two categories, which is now I can't even remember the names. But one is I can't remember. It's the interpretive injustice, which is the injustice of not understanding somebody because of lack of a shared concept or experience, right? The problem of interpretation. Um, and then there's the other internal one of the person not being able to express or not understanding their own meanings. But yeah, interesting. That's it. That's what I've been up to. I'm gonna have to go in about 5 minutes, so I'll let other people talk for that time before I gotta go.
The only topic I thought we might want to get into is I don't know, Carl, if we want to talk more about the definition of the word fact
Oh,
with Alex Weisenfels was.
I think we need Alex here because I have one opinion, and I don't know. Does anyone feel like they really strongly agreed with Alex? Because we
I
need.
I
Did
think
someone summarize?
well, it's the last several posts. I would say that the framing of the conversation is less than helpful.
What was the framing?
That
Sorry,
that we're
what
arguing over
conversation
the
are we talking
definition of
about?
the word facts.
Who's talking? Where is that happening?
It was on Discord.
In the
Oh
general
yeah,
chat, the last
I
several
keep
posts.
I
I
mean,
keep
my
forgetting.
summary was that uh the who's the philosopher? Steve Lano was said he doesn't really like Braver Angels. And of course, I'm paraphrasing here. Of course, he has a much more nuanced opinion. And someone said why, and he said, well, they just seem to like work on accepting respect and just moving to accepting that we all disagree. And then somehow it jumped to the use of the word fact. And Alex has worked with Braver Angels and asked, well, why don't you like Braver Angels? Was curious. But also Alex wants to create a new framework for Braver Angels to use. He has an alternative way to frame dialogue that he wants Braver Angels to adopt. And part of his dialogue, or some part of his framework is getting people to agree that there's no such thing as what most of us think of as a fact. He says a fact, quote unquote, is a prediction, which on some level, like some very theoretical level, I could agree with. He's like, if you call it a fact, what that means is that you're predicting that the things that it's correlated with will continue to be true in the future. And then,
That sounds like based like pulling from the scientific method, essentially, of
yeah,
it's what has empirically been true up to now and is currently serving for our next predictions is a fact.
right, right. Did I miss? Is there anything you would add to that, Bentley, or did I? Does
Well,
that not?
so I think the challenge comes in that, and this is something that once I kind of noticed, I can't not see it anymore, is that people are talking about, and Carl, you at once point when we had this conversation that you felt that words are more important than I'm giving them credit, but I think it's quite the opposite, that people are not giving words enough credit. To say that
Giving
what does fact
giving
mean?
words enough credit. Okay.
Yeah, it's just to say this, like, facts are, that statement is an oversimplification that causes confusion in general. In what context are we using the word fact? So Alex did not clarify that he wants to use the word fact to represent a term in his framework. I don't think he's claiming this is what people think when we use the word facts. This is what when people I don't think he was making any of those claims, but because he wasn't clear, he didn't say that. And Carl, you have a specific definition for fact, but that's in certain contexts. If someone uses the word fact, if you're arguing with someone on the street and they say that's not a fact, they don't like a fact could mean that it's that the word, that this claim is stated as a fact. It still could be untrue. But a lot of times when people say the word fact, they mean something that they're implying that it is true. And if it's not true, it's not a fact. But it's still called a fact. So that a word doesn't have a single definition. And not taking into that complexity when you're talking about it, people get y'all were having an argument about nothing. If he just said, I want to use, I have a term in my system. I happen to use the word fact to cover it. And I'm using it as, I think he said is what he really means is that it has predictive power. Not that
let me just,
is a
Tim,
prediction.
I'll try and be quick, Tim, so you can respond. The only thing I think I haven't said in that conversation I would say is that I think the context is the lay public for the most part, because Braver Angels is a program designed to pick your general person who's at least motivated to talk, but other than that is no specialty, no special knowledge, no special background, just general US sort of voter as far, obviously, US centric, bring them together and talk. So I think in that population, it's going to be very challenging to redefine the word fact in the way that he wants to. I think he has some theoretical, basis for being correct. I just think it's going to be challenging in that context to tell people, hey, here's what you mean when you mean fact. Here's what we're going to mean by fact. It's a prediction. You're going to have to people have to take a college level course to start to accept that. Anyway, that's mostly what I haven't really said, but I think it's going to be a challenge. But I think it's a neat idea.
Go ahead, Tim.
I think I have to go right now. I'll check on that. But yeah, first of all, tying it into the canonical debate, right? And something I wrote a response to somebody. It was probably on Quora or something, but it was about a man is a man and a woman is a woman and that sort of thing. And my point there was exactly that the definitions are contextual. What are you using it for? Because, for example, if you're talking about the bathroom thing of who uses what and all that, when you make a law, when you make a contract or whatever, you define the thing within that law. So you state within the law as to what that means. So like in the Florida law or whatever for bathrooms, it's that you are man and women are defined by their sex as diagnosed at birth time, defined by the doctor or whatever. So they put something in there, and then they state for the purpose of the law, which is that it's to reduce conflict and whatever, right? Okay, so they've defined it for that purpose, but you don't have to use that definition for every single purpose, right? Same thing here with facts. The canonical debate, specifically, as we've talked about it, every claim is going to have its own definitions for the words used in that claim if it gets to that level of specificity of what do we call formality, where you have, like, a claim can use the exact same words but be two different claims if you're using two different definitions stated within there. For example, if you're defining man and women as two different things, right? So yeah, I mean, in this case, fact could also, the other part of it is, the truth and fact within the canonical debate is up for debate. We don't seek to define it. We seek to let people evolve it and work on it together. And I guess my last comment before I'm already late is I'll put this in the Discord, but it seems weird to be trying to find people meeting on the basis of facts as opposed to shared values, which should be where you should really start off, is like, hey, don't you all want to, have more freedom and have more people able to feed their family and that sort of thing? Start from there and then work on how do we get there, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, the question is, oh, do I want criminals to have this, and who's a criminal? And then you get into facts. But I agree with you, basically. I'm just
No,
saying.
but yeah, you get into facts when you get to the details, but.
Yep. But I agree that starting with facts is not the best starting point. If that's the question, so full agreement.
Oh, that does remind me of a topic I would like to discuss, speaking of facts. Yes.
Just to finish on that, I'm trying to understand the conversation. Is he saying we should not get people to talk in terms of facts in the common understanding of this thing did happen, but just in terms of their prediction values?
I think he's trying to weaken people's attachment to facts being what's the word I'm looking for? Like what's the word? Like he's just trying to weaken your attachment to quote unquote grounded facts. Like, be open to being disproven. Like, the way I started thinking about this when he was talking was I started looking back into Popper, like the falsibility criterion. Like, if you have a statement that can't be falsified, like it's sort of not a very useful statement for shared understanding. That's my personal thinking.
I think the Popper formulation is more accessible and equally useful.
I think so too. That's kind of why I was turn towards it when we were having this conversation.
Yeah,
I didn't mention it. Maybe I should.
it was just unfortunate that he used the term facts are predictions, because that did not communicate what he was thinking. It causes things in other people's brains that are actually,
And because it's clear to me that the question
but
is,
he's not here to defend that. But
yeah,
Oh, and that
we
reminds me
can
of a
speak
separate
about.
topic is this time is not good for him. I don't know anything about him other than just chatting with him on Discord, but if we ever wanted to do like a one-off on a weekend or something to get a different crowd, he said he couldn't meet during this time because it's during his work hours.
the room should be open. So if you ever want to suggest a time and use this link, it
Oh,
should.
nice.
Well,
Thanks, Beth.
I'm not. It's on my account, so I can't have another meeting at the same time. But
Mhm.
So we'd have to have your okay for any suggested
yeah,
time.
so just kind of double check with me. But I'm honestly not on it very often. So right now it's pretty good. So yeah, if you want to like continue that conversation in person, feel free to suggest this, and then just I can
Yeah.
watch the conversation and let you know if the timing doesn't work for me.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah, I think it'd be a good conversation. It just kind of delved into my whole thing about let's not say X is blank. It's like that
and I'm
that
there. I'm
that
with you.
construction is.
I'm totally with you. but yeah, yeah. People getting hung up on facts rather than disprovable facts, or yeah, there I'm with you. Say it's just probabilities I disagree with. I think it's not a position I would agree with because things did or didn't happen. We Provability is something else. We may or may not be able to know it, but things did or didn't happen.
So Carl, what was the other thing?
Yes, your point.
I wanted to ask people about the debunk bot data. I don't know if this will be a long conversation or not. What I shared in chat and I didn't get any traction, that's why I wanted to see what people's thoughts were. So I shared this link. I can share it again. It should be open to viewing, and it's just a Google sheet of all of their data that they link from. I forget the name of that site that you know puts. Let me look it up now in case anyone does want to follow along. And what I wanted to chat about with this, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong, but basically I tried to recreate their data. And what I mean by recreate is get their like 0.2, shift in or 20-point shift in opinion. And so what I did is I have a pivot table where I say, here's the measure, the self-reported measure of belief change. I think I've got the right column for that. And then I've counted how many people in the treatment, or maybe they call it experiment, condition reported this amount. And you can see that for the most, like 600 people reported no change. I think a positive number here corresponds to a decrease in belief in the conspiracy. And then what I've done is I've multiplied, it's like a weighted thing where I multiplied the belief change times the number of people reported that. And then I've just summed this weighted delta and divided it by the total number of people I'm getting 0.07, which should be 1 percentage point. So what I'm expecting to see here is 20 or something around the number 20. And I'm getting 0.07. I don't want to derail our conversation if this isn't interesting to anyone. I don't know if anyone just saw some obvious mistake I'm making when I was describing it, but and let me back up. I'm not trying to like prove them wrong because I'm sure that I'm getting something wrong. I'm curious to try and like find the people who change their mind kind of a lot and then look at their conversations. And maybe that's something else just it's interesting to talk about this. If you browse this
Shouldn't
data,
it be sums on both? Shouldn't be some against some, because you have some against average in the formula.
that's probably the problem. Okay, yeah, let me look at that.
Hi, Tim.
Computer's
You're
going
back.
slow. Hey. Why can I not edit this? Oh, I'm probably logged in as my. But anyway, I have to log in as probably myself. Yeah, that's probably the
Carl,
issue
I
for
didn't
me.
have the mental space to figure that out. It does look kind of interesting.
It is
Yeah, I thought it
interesting.
was fun. The other thing that's fun about this thing is this makes it kind of somewhat easy to browse conversations. So you can kind of start from left and go to right. And it's the, human AI conversation turns. Which is kind of fun to watch. One thing that I
I
noticed
didn't
that you
realize
may
they
also
had
will
the
pick
full
up.
conversation text. It's amazing.
Yeah. One thing you'll kind of pick up on that's a little non-obvious is that they mention in their, I haven't read the paper yet, I need to, but in the podcast where they describe their method, I think they first have the user describe their issue, and then I think then they give their reasons for believing in the issue. Both of those responses are concatenated in this. That's here. It's called user response combined. So just so you're aware that there's kind of like that. It's not a full conversation turn or something. Are you guys still seeing this weird pop-up pivot table thing? I
Yeah.
think it to go away. It's
Try
not.
escape.
Yeah, just hit escape. I think it went away. Okay, yeah, it's gone. Anyway, yeah. Let's see. I need to. How do I sign into my? Surprised I'm not in self yet. It's weird because I'm using that for extension sign in too. Anyway, you guys don't have to watch me sign into this, but yeah, if there's more conversation around debunk bot, I found that a super interesting podcast you shared, Bentley, and I find their method and results. It's gonna take forever. My computer's going so slow.
I do find it interesting that they ask people, why do you believe this? Because that in itself, according to street epistemology, is enough to make people shift.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is yeah. And the podcast host had interviewed the street epistemology people, so he's very aware of them. He actually went and did it with them.
Oh, nice.
And he wrote
I
a
started
story
reading
on
this
it.
because of the podcast, How Minds Change, his book.
Yeah. Yeah, David McGraney. And did y'all know that Jamie's been on his podcast?
Yes,
Yeah.
she was.
You probably saw that one. It's fun.
One thing that was really interesting out of that podcast at the end was they let you know that they got a grant to study the opposite, so to speak, of can AI trick people to going further down the rabbit hole in conspiratorial belief. So there should be, I guess, results, I don't know, in a year or something on that maybe. And I'm almost positive that the answer is going to be yes, that it can. And I remember in the podcast, McGreeny, the host, asked one of the researchers, like, are you concerned that, basically on average, people are going to be more, misinformed once AI starts being used to spread propaganda? And he said, no, because I think it's easier to prove the truth. The truth is more self-evident. And I think that's, to be
We
honest, a very
wish.
naive view. Yeah, like it's so easy to get something said that you agree with, and I'm probably just preaching to the choir, but
I I thought the answer was a bit more nuanced. Like I think he was thinking more of this process where you ask for the evidence. Well,
For the record, I was very fascinated to see Schneier say, if we look at the role of AI in the last election, wasn't that much, wasn't that bad, according to current analysis. So that was a nuanced take anyway on so far. I'm not saying there was no role. I'm curious. I would want more studies, but
I would find it surprising if it were, because I think the way this kind of thing has to work is not influencing masses all at once, like with a commercial or with a fake news story, because that's going to be broken down and figured out. It's more
the micro-targeting.
slowly, yeah, not just micro-targeting and slow changing of mass opinion, right, through yeah, the what do you rabbit hole effect, that kind of thing where yeah.
yeah, because if you think about it, there's already a lot of misinformation out there. It's going to become faster and a little probably better written. So it's more of a step change than a than a
I
revolution.
think, yeah, maybe also they haven't figured out yet how
Measure.
to let it go on its own without getting caught. For example, the thing, did I post it in our Discord, the thing with the contrarian bot? Did you see that one? I think I posted it
Well, I
some.
don't know about the Discord, but
Yeah, it's that there are bots on Blue Sky now that are
Oh, yeah.
Chat GPT or AI that all they do is argue against whatever the other person said.
That's what Hank Green was posted about the other day. I don't know if that's where you got it from, but he was
Well,
noticing.
I posted no, it was what's her name? AG Allison Green from
Oh,
the Muller She Wrote or Daily Beans podcast where she was like, "Oh, this is weird. I've seen two of these now. It looks like there are AI bots." I'll post a thing, but it's hilarious because she's all, "I think it seems like there are AI bots that are meant just to contradict you." And the one she screenshotted in that post then responded
oh
to
no,
her saying, "That's not true. That's not." It's like the AI contradicted her, accusing the AI of being a train.
forget that last link. I misread the thing, but there is a contrarian bot on mini apps that does exist.
There's Blue Sky mini apps.
No, that's on it's basic mini apps AI. It's just something that, and there is a contrarian bot in ChatGPT.
Oh, and ChatGPT.
So these exist. So yeah, the blue sky, I don't know. I misread the.
so I similarly, and I think he would have mentioned if he saw her post, but Hank Green just posted who's creating this non-human army. He was just noticing on Blue Sky, there's a whole bunch of fake accounts. And he's like, I don't even know what their goal is or how they're going to make money off of this, but I guess it's just normal influencing. But it was interesting. So he knows the same thing. So yeah, it seems like it's going to be a problem.
I very much agree that it's likely to be a problem. The da. Sorry, I'm looking for something I read recently. There was a good synthesis article on AI recently about, it's real. Like one big impact, like because I'm so much hanging out with the contrarians, uh, it was good to have here is one place where it's real. I think it was Kara Swisher, maybe. Anyway, and it was about, among other things, the number of button security attacks has skyrocketed, and a lot of the security attacks were coordinated or generated by bots, by AI. There's AI finding holes or helping amateurs create attack bots. It's led to a huge increase in security attack. The security landscape right now is scarier than it's been in ages. You've probably seen the FBI actually recommending uh, encrypted communications, which is hilarious given their traditional stance because of the Chinese attack right now.
After doing that sum, now I get 11.5. So that's a much more reasonable number. And they might have been limiting their analysis to one of their several experiments. So I'd have to look at that. Thanks, Marc Antoine.
Pleasure.
Hey Tim, I was looking for a dev, and actually there's a guy in Brazil that I was just talking to today. So
Oh yeah, where?
uh,
Well, where? What part of Brazil?
I'd have to look up. It wasn't Sao Paulo, but um, he's around there somewhere.
Brazil's
Campinas.
big.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's big.
yeah.
Campinas has a lot of devs, but
Belo Horizonte, of course.
Oh, and
yeah.
and Carl, he's an expert in React Flow, so that was interesting. So I just don't know if I have. He was good enough that he could, you know, devs are still expensive. So I can't justify spending the money when I could do it myself.
Are you using Klein? Is anyone here using Klein yet in VS Code?
Uh,
Okay, you need
what is
to
that?
if you have not tried it yet. So it is the workflow that has made me both in like an AI believer and an AI kind of like not I don't know doomer, but like I'm nervous about my job as a software engineer. So Klein is a VS Code extension, CLINE. I'm using it with Claude 3.5 through OpenRouter. OpenRouter, I think, is doing key pooling or whatever, so you don't necessarily hit limits. Because if I use Claude directly through Anthropic, I can do like one or two tasks and then I'm maxed out on tokens for the day. But with OpenRouter, you can just keep going, and it's not cheap. I think I've spent already like $50 a month, better than maybe the $200 a month that I guess OpenAI just announced. But it's really good. Like I keep asking myself, what is this like as far as dealing with, like entry level software engineers at, elite companies, and it's on par. Um, there are mistakes, that you have to catch, and like sometimes you have to talk it through, like finding a bug or noticing like some obvious mistake it made. But like I have started to, it is my go-to for making changes to code now, which, as of 6 months ago, was all me doing it. And now I start with Klein and Claude, and then if I need to, I jump in and tweak or whatever. Like what it's nice about it is that instead of just, oh, here's, paste in what you want, I'll tell you about it, and then you have to copy it over. It is closely integrated. So I set it up to automatically read. So I don't have to approve reads. And it is very good at detecting from your workspace what should it look at to give itself context, and then summarizing the plan it's going to do, and then proposing edits. So like it won't make an edit. It'll show you the diff, and then you can approve or edit that diff in place, and then you can apply it. And it's very good for like if you're giving it feedback, like you can, instead of approving or editing, you can just say to it, oh no, don't do it this way, do that, or do it over here instead, you misunderstood what I said. Like, oh, the user has said blah blah blah, and then it goes and it usually does the right thing. So I highly recommend it if
Just
you.
what I wanted from being a programmer
I
is
know.
turn my day into endless code reviews.
Yes.
Well, I was looking. There's been a great study showing that AI helping coders code has gotten the number of security holes up.
I can imagine. But
The
also probably
I was just
junior people put
reviewing
in.
a colleague's code that they developed with AI, and it's like, oh my God, this is going to be so inefficient.
But it works
That's
some of the time.
it worked, but he said, oh, I have to change my schema because this is too slow in database and blah blah. Well, let's look at the query.
Yeah, I find a lot of
Well,
times it is very inefficient code. And a lot of times it'll I'm like, can't you write that with some more modern JavaScript, right? Um, but yeah,
well, I mean,
limits get in there.
it's average. It's using as a basis what the majority of what it found on the net. And let's face it, the general code quality has issues.
Yeah, and just age also it's doing things old ways. So
But it's true that when you're entering, where I find it's useful, I'm entering a new code base and I have no clue what's going on because it's a language I don't speak yet.
yeah.
God, that's useful.
Oh yeah.
And I do. The autocomplete is fun. I've set up not Klein, and I will look at it, but I've set up a source graph, which is another VS Code extension, and I'm using it with Olema. I've got code complete, one of the Olema libraries, and that means it costs me nothing. I have a good enough GPU. I get pretty good performance. There's if you look at even an Olema, there's even an open source VS Code plugin that you can use with it. That's on the Olema blog. Let me give you that reference. So yeah, it's very possible. Tool support. Here's the blog, and they mentioned, oh no, not that one. Sorry, wrong. Here it is. Sorry, that's the one I wanted. It's called Continue. That's an open source. Now, maybe Klein is better, and I'll definitely have a look. As I said, I'm using SourceGraph, which is another one, but it means I've cut my costs for the record.
I was using Continue over the summer and it was okay. And then I switched to Klein, and that's where it changed my workflow, switching to Klein.
Well, I'll
Continue is good. Huh?
I'll have a look for sure.
Yeah.
But can Klein be told to work with Olama?
I don't know. I've only ever tried Claude. It's very flexible, but I don't know. Probably.
But because Olama basically it's a runner, an engine. It's not a LLM. It's a LLM engine, and then there's all these Hugging Face things. And I use the OpenCoder 8 billion because I have the RAM for it, and it's not bad at all. So you could cut the cost.
There is a drop down for it's an API provider in the settings. Olama is one of the choices, and you give it a base URL, a model ID. Yeah, so I think
exactly. So install Olama locally, pull OpenCoder in Olama, and then you'll avoid the cloud costs.
Personally, I can't go back from using Claude 3.5. Maybe I should try Olama just to be well. So I don't have a GPU. Olama's like a snail on my machine.
That's it. Olama is pretty surprising on my machine. I've been really impressed with, but I paid a lot for a good laptop 3 years ago. It's not even state of the art.
Which model are you using?
For speech, I use Llama 3.2, but for code, I'm using OpenCoder, which I just put in the chat. Just to give you an idea, let me share screen. Llama, run Llama 3.2. Do you have a question you want me to ask?
I don't know. Is it in a tell me each one of the projects in a 1 paragraph description of it that's in this folder. Is that
this is the Llama 3.2. It's not this is for text, not for code. I could show you that, but that's different. But ask me a text question.
Will LLMs fundamentally change the nature of online discourse? I don't know. I don't know if it'll have any good response for that. Cite your sources. Oh, it's fast.
That's the performance I get on my laptop. Local.
Change the query to how can LLMs change the discourse?
Got to be careful what your prompt is. Maybe it should be improve rather than just change.
Well, it gives positive and negative.
Mark Anton, you have to send me the specs of your laptop.
No, that's true.
The concept of what you're using.
It's a M1 M1 Max.
Okay.
M1 Max 32 gig of RAM.
Huh. Okay. I think I'm still on Intel.
Maybe I should try it. My laptop has a swappable GPU. So
That's great.
So yeah, it's worth getting a good. This was just meant as a Llama demo. I'll get into the results, but
we're close.
Anyway, folks, we're at the hour exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was great chatting. Deep discussions. I have to remind Marc Antoine that we have a discourse channel, Discord.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tim, I like it when everyone participates. So to the degree you can and you're free, I love seeing everyone's ideas, and the cross-pollination is definitely one of my favorite parts of this group. So thank you all.
And if anyone wants to host a meeting, just let me know.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Good to see you guys.